Correct. As far as the original indictment, the charging indictment on the club came down in 2008. It was during the reign of Doc Cavazos, and I had no contact with law enforcement. I wasn't an officer at the time. I was a nomad in a nomad chapter, and I came back active into Harbor chapter for a while too. But as far as like the indictment or people getting arrested on their individual acts or selling dope or getting caught up, those are all individual acts by every individual. There are 79 defendants on the charging indictment for the RICO, and there was like different components to it. There was the forfeiture of the bikes. There was they were trying to, they put the injunction on the trademarks and subsequently trying to basically steal our identity from us by way of the trademarks. There was other components. It was a very convoluted case. Had never been done before. It was just a novel approach by law enforcement and the government to try to strip us of our trademarks, which are collective membership marks.
Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye. Let's get to this intro. Welcome back to the channel, and if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate your support, man. I'm very humbled by it. So let's talk Little Dave, the out bad former national president of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. Hey, respect to the Mongols, no disrespect. We're going to keep it real. So 4 years ago, I made a controversial video. There was a lot of controversy surrounding it. There was recordings that were recorded. There was a lot of people that felt even talking about Little Dave or what he was going through was blasphemy, especially in the motorcycle world, because he held so much respect. He was a very respected man within that community. But at the same time, there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes that quickly developed to make him one of the most unrespected villains, I guess you would say, in the motorcycle community. 4 years ago, and I'm going to tell you this little story. We're going to get to why the title says Little Dave is exonerated. We're going to get to all that. But 4 years ago, I wake up, I'm at a homeboy's house. I went to go visit the homeboy. I was going to stay there a week visiting. I was out of state. And, I woke up early. My program is wake up early, bust down, do what I do. It was back then. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say that's what it is now. It's still wake up early and do what I got to do. But the bust down part, I guess I got to get back to that with an upcoming boxing match. But at that point in time, man, it was get up early and do my thing. So I woke up very early and I didn't want to wake up the household. I was staying at the homeboy's house. His family was sleeping. So I went in his backyard, made a cup of coffee, and decided I was going to chill in the back and record some content for YouTube. I was early in my content creation days. This was when I had first started my channel. Now, let me give you some background. The day prior to that, I had went to San Francisco. I was in the Bay Area at that time. And I was having issues with my first channel, the Gunners Collective channel. For some reason, it had got erased. Someone was able to get into my algorithm, right? They were able to get into my channel and delete my channel. There was a lot of hating going on. There was a lot of whatever it was, but it got deleted. I'm not pointing fingers and blaming anyone. It just was what it was. At that time, I thought it was a certain individual that did it. I was wrong. It was someone else. It is what it is, man. We've moved on from that. But I was kind of in bad spirits that morning because my channel had just got deleted the day before, and I was still trying to figure things out. And so I'm sitting in the backyard contemplating what my next move was when I get a phone call, which was very unusual to get a phone call at 6:30 in the morning from a homeboy out of Sacramento. So I answer the phone, and the homie from Sac is like, "Hey, bro, do you see what's going on with Little Dave?" Now, at that point in time, I knew who Little Dave was. I knew, I had heard that name. I knew of him, did not know him personally. So I said, no, what's going on? Now, prior to that date as well, I stood out of the motorcycle community business because that wasn't my genre. I wasn't involved in that, right? So speaking on the men, other than the association or affiliation in prison with them guys doing time with bikers, it wasn't really my forte to get involved in their business. But the homie's like, hey, bro, you got to jump on this. This is content. And I was like, well, that's kind of hard to do when I don't got a channel anymore. I'm in the midst of creating a new channel or trying to get that one back, which was my mission that day. And the homie was like, you got to jump on this however you can, bro. There's a video that surfaced. Now, if you guys don't remember, about 4 years ago, a video surfaced of Little Dave, and he seemed inebriated in the video. He seemed drunk, okay? Seemed like he had a few too many beers to drink that night. The natural light was natural lighting. The natties were natting, and he was home. Now, this video was recorded by his then wife, Annie, at the time. I did have a conversation with her. I had a conversation with Little Dave. We're going to get to that. But this video was put out there by her, and I guess it was recorded by her and another family member, right? And in that video, you distinctly hear Little Dave, which was real controversial. You hear him talking about an exit strategy and how he had some association with, at that time, was a Fed, okay? A retired federal agent, but he talked about him in the video. He talked about an exit strategy. And these words that he used were words that were utilized by someone who was basically working with the feds or had some type of correlation or relationship with the Fed, right? So the internet was buzzing. How can a national president of one of the most notorious one percenter clubs, you know, the Mongols were very well respected throughout Southern and Northern California, all over the world. How can the national president, who had so much respect, be working with the feds, especially when they were going through a RICO case called Black Rain, right? There was a big case going on where they were being stripped of their identity, their patches, their motorcycles, like you heard Dave talk about. There was so much going on. So this raised a couple of eyebrows. A lot of people were listening because it was very rare to hear someone that held that status within a club like the Mongols to be speaking like that, talking about the willings and dealings with the federal agent and an exit strategy, meaning how are we going to get up out of all this? So I listened to the video that the homeboy forwarded me, and it piqued my interest, just like everybody else. And I immediately got to making phone calls first thing in the morning. And I got at a few people I had a homeboy in San Jose from the San Jose chapter of the Mongols, who's still a good friend of mine, who was able to put me in correspondence, right, with Little Dave. He forwarded some numbers, and Little Dave reciprocated the conversation. We were able to get a hold of each other. And as the homeboy wakes up, I'm telling him about, hey, this is what's going on. And he was like, that's not really our business, right? He ran a YouTube channel at the same time. And I was like, look, I'm going to try to line up, and we're going to both try to line up an interview with this guy and get down to the bottom of what's going on. It was big news, right? We were able to facilitate that. It took all day of having a lot of conversations, conversing with Little Dave, to where he agreed to do an interview, the first interview. And at that particular time, I couldn't do the interview. I was pissed because my channel was shut down. So I forwarded the interview to the homie like, hey, I'm going to let you do this, but I'm the go-between. And so this interview was conducted. Midway through the interview, one of Little Dave, it was his wife. I guess he had a couple biker friends that were in the background. And as this interview was midway, and we were getting to all the good, juicy details. And remember, Little Dave decided to do this interview because he wanted to plead his case. Now, I learned a long time ago, just in life, I mean, if you're not guilty, you don't give a fuck, right? There should be no reason that you have to immediately go to the internet and plead your case to a whole bunch of strangers. They're not going to believe you anyways. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. I thought that the whole interview, I thought everything was fishy. I thought this man was grasping at straws and just trying to distance himself from this video. Explaining himself to a bunch of people that it should have never been explained to. It should have been a club thing. They should have did it behind the scenes. He should have explained himself to those that were in his club, his brothers that he needed to, not the internet, right? But I wasn't going to tell the man anything because, hey, I was trying to get some money. I was trying to get the facts, right? So midway through this interview, it was shut down because the people I was in association with at that time, one individual in particular that happened to pull up later on and get involved, was not in the best of standings, right? I mean, I'm a non-active gang member. He knew that. My other homie at the time was a non-active gang member. He knew that, but this particular individual had some bad, charges. Not bad charges, but he had some bad shit on his jacket that we didn't know about. Nothing sexual or nothing like that. Just he told on a lot of people, right? And allegedly. So little Dave, I guess his people found out about that. And they were like, hey, cut this video short, whatever. So I talked to him. And right after that, and was like, hey, bro, I understand where you're coming from. And his whole thing was, look, bro, I do a lot of willing and dealing with Southsiders, people from organizations, and I just don't want to be caught up in what that dude's got going on. No disrespect to you, Gun. No disrespect to your other homeboy, but that particular individual. And at that time, I was aware but unaware of the degree of what that guy had done, right? This was early in my friendship with that dude. And so I got it, right? I asked him, hey, bro, now let me rewind. Before the interview started, his wife, Annie, who was adamantly trying to, and vehemently, is that how you say it? Vehemently? Trying to protect him and clearing up the video that she had put out, right? She asked if she could record the video. So that way, if we did edits or anything, nothing was misconstrued or taken out of context. Absolutely, I agreed. I told her I would be doing the same thing for the same purposes. She agreed. It was all good. After the interview got cut midway, I talked to little Dave and gave him some advice on, what he should do next to plead his case, if that's what was his thing. Now, mind you, I'm little old bitty me, an ex-Norteño, man. Never been involved in biker clubs or nothing like that. Got a lot of respect for bikers because I got homeboys, family members that are bikers, Hells Angels, Mongols, Gypsy Jokers, Outlaws, Banditos, all that good stuff, right? All those real Vogels, those real ones. I've been around them. My father growing up rode bikes, and so he was in close association with Hells Angels and things of that nature. So I knew the life. I just wasn't involved in the life. And so out of respect, I was giving little Dave some game, and he was soaking it. And I asked him, at that time I was having a beef with one particular content creator for bullshit, right? And me, I'm always involved in some beefs, even if I don't want them. And I asked little Dave, hey, do me a favor, bro. If you're going to go on the internet, you're going to do interviews, just don't do an interview with this clown, because this dude will take things and twist it. Sure enough, I'm in Modesto the next day, and this dude goes on the internet. Hey, little Dave came here first, interviewed this, and that. Cool, right? Respects, but you weren't the first one. And so I had asked little Dave out of respect, just don't do that. He gave me his word. Nah, I won't fuck with that dude. I won't do this. I won't do that. He does it anyways, right? And I guess the man was just trying to get his story out there. Anyways, so I dropped the video with the little clip of the recording that I had. And my whole thing was not to put little Dave on blast, because there was nothing that he said that made him look bad, but just to show people that, no, I was first, right? It was kind of a pride thing, I guess. Childish, very childish. But in my early content creation days, it was all about who can get it first. And so that was what it was. Now, little Dave went out bad. Because of that situation, because not the situation of the willing and dealing with me, I had nothing to do with it. Because of that video, his club started to question his activities. There started to be a lot of whispering going on. And at some particular point in time, he sat down with his club and they decided to push him out of the club. He was no longer going to be the national president. He went out bad. Now, going out bad in a motorcycle club means you're basically, it's like the equivalent of being removed, right? They're not going to fucking assault you or put hands on you. I'm sure that's happened in the past. If you get caught telling or you get caught on some shit, then it's concrete. They got P-dub, right? But he was pushed away from the club. And when you're pushed away from a motorcycle club, you can have no association with active members anymore. You're not a brother no more. Your patch is taken and you're gone. You're excommunicated. You're ostracized from the club. That's exactly what happened to little Dave. He continued to adamantly say and that he was not involved in the telling or working with the federal agent at all. And that whole video was taken out of context and was utilized by his wife, who was upset and angry that he wasn't home, that he was cheating, that he was drinking. And she just got tired of it. And she decided to put him on blast. And she went a little too far. Now, whatever the case may be, that was his excuse. Cool. I'm going to sit here and tell you guys, man, I thought it was very fishy. The whole get down. I thought, and again, man, I wasn't trying to get this person in trouble. I just thought bro, that tape tells a lot of the story. You know, you never expected what you say behind closed doors, man. When it's brought to the surface, is totally different from the persona you're putting out there. Cool, whatever, right? That was just my own feelings. Was I wrong? Well, here we go, years later, and little Dave has went through his trials and his tribulations. He's done several interviews with different content creators, always saying the same story, that he had no association or he wasn't working with the feds to cut a deal to, you know, get out of what the club was going through. Whether that's true or not, the courts believe it is. The club did, like I say, get rid of little Dave. He was out bad. And so you would think that anyone who is pushed out, who's basically disrespected by his brothers, man, by his people he fought alongside or he supported, he would feel some type of way and be like, fuck it, right? He never did. And so the thing that was tripping people out was there's a lot of ticky-tack little cases that little Dave was catching: drunk in public, DUIs, getting caught with weapons, assaults, these type of things. And he was being charged, but he wasn't getting time. And you would think, like, if the feds are after the big bad bikers, they're after this club, you would think that they would try to take down the leader, right? The president. You would think he would be. They usually cut the head off the fucking snake, and the body withers, right? So I've seen in the past when it's RICOs, they're always trying to get to the big fish. You would think he would be the big fish, right? But for some reason, he kept being let out. And this right here was drawing suspicion from a lot of people in the biker community, because it was like, hey, bro, okay, I could see you getting out on a DUI. It's your first one. It is what it is. You know, you get a little ticket, pay a little fine, a little 20 thou wow for the blow and go. We get it. But you're getting caught for assault charges. You're getting caught for this. You're getting caught for that. And you're always being released. You're always getting out. It's never like you're never getting convicted and going to prison or anything like that. And there was always an excuse. Well, it's because I'm a first time offender, or I'm a first termer, or I'm first that, or first this. And it's like, how are you a national president of one of the most notorious 1%er biker clubs in the world, but your record is squeaky clean, or you keep being let out when there's actually an active Fed RICO going on with your club, and they're not targeting you? That raised a lot of suspicion. A lot of people were tripping. Well, there was a lawyer that was a club lawyer, right? And he, at one point in time, I guess, was friends with little Dave, but decided that what he read, what he seen on paper, what the stories that he was told, that he was going to press the issue to the fullest on little Dave and expose little Dave for working with the feds. Whatever he was privileged to see, whatever paperwork that came across his desk, or whatever stories were told to him, he felt for the benefit of the club and in the best interest of the Mongols Motorcycle Club that he was going to expose little Dave for working with the feds and for whatever he was trying to do. And this, they did, there was several hearings, a lot of paperwork that was put out there. And when it was all said and done, little Dave had an excuse for everything. You know, he is running around the internet now, exonerated. Basically, whatever he was able to proved that he was not working with the feds. There were several police officers, several, I guess the federal agent that he had mentioned in that notorious video with his wife, took the stand. A lot of people and were, you know, cross-examined by that particular lawyer, the club lawyer, and he was basically cleared, saying that they never worked with them. They weren't, you know, he was never in that type of association. Now, there was an incident where little Dave did, I guess he was at a bowling alley or somewhere, and there was an ex-law enforcement officer, and they were seen having drinks together. And for the most people on the outside looking in that are in that underworld or in that world, right? Outlaw world, you know, to see a national president, someone who's should know everything of what's going on, illegal and legal, within the club, right? To be sitting down with the law enforcement officer having a drink is going to raise some eyebrows. People are going to be a little concerned with that. You know, and I understand, man, that when you're a leader, a shot caller, you have status and anything, man, there's going to be times where you have to sit down with the opposition and play that role. You know, they're trying to get information from you. You're trying to get information from them. You're playing you're counter spying, right? And that was little Dave's whole thing. Oh, man, this guy was an ex-law enforcement officer. We just happened to meet up at the same place at the same time. And out of respect for having a history, we're going to have drinks. But the thing is, how do you have a history with this man if you don't have a history on your record? Like you don't got a whole bunch of incarcerations and have done time. You know, it's like when I was living my lifestyle and I was in and out of prison, man, you start to develop a cordial relationship with the cop, a CO that you remember the first time you were in that prison or the second time you were in that prison. Tracy was like that for me. I went to Tracy DVI 6 different times for violations and new cases that I started to remember the cops. They started to know me. Hey, what's up, Vidari? Hey, what's up? You know what I mean? You start to know them. Same thing, juvenile hall, youth authority, all that, other prisons. You know, you start to develop a rapport with them. So I can understand little Dave's thing. I have a rapport with them. But how do you have a rapport with them if you're not getting locked up? Like if you're not having a lot of willings and dealings with this guy. But that was his story, right? And I'm not going to sit here and say that it's still fishy, but I'm saying that I'm going to play devil's advocate right here, because little Dave is actually exonerated. There are a lot of people that say that he was able to prove to everybody that he wasn't a rat, that he did not tell on anyone, that he was not working with law enforcement. This came out of the officers' mouths, supposedly that he was supposed to be in association with or working with. Well, let me explain something to you. If he was a CI, meaning if he was working against his club or working against anyone and working with law enforcement, they're not going to tell you. They're going to get up there and be like, oh, no, you know, he's a CI for them. They're not going to say, oh, yeah, no, we were working together. And people are like, well, they were under oath. It doesn't matter. You think they're going to give up their confidential informant if he was? No, absolutely not. Now, I'm not saying little Dave was or wasn't. I'm just saying, if you really think about it in the big scheme of things, they're not obligated to say anything, and they're not going to do that. So 100 officers that could have been working with them could get up there and say no, but that doesn't mean that's the truth. Now, according to little Dave, all those different times he was picked up on charges and just let right out, that was all just good luck, right? I've never had that much good luck, but I'm just saying it was all good luck. At the end of the day, man, you know, like I said, I always felt in my heart, man, I thought little Dave was working with the feds. I thought he was telling. I didn't know why. I didn't know, you know, what exactly was going on. The club's business is none of my business. You feel me? So I was just a content creator putting out videos, but I would apologize to little Dave at this point and say, you know what? Hey, if you were actually exonerated and you didn't do that, my bad, man, for thinking that way. I never put out a video like this dude's a rat. This dude fucking, that wasn't, I'm not trying to do all that, right? Especially to someone I don't know like that. I know other people are quick to point fingers and do that to everybody. That's just what they do. That's their whole get down, but not me. So I wanted to make this video 4 years later to apologize to little Dave for even thinking that way, man. I appreciate the respect that man gave me to even acknowledge me and give me an interview or to even converse with me, right? Very knowledgeable, intelligent individual. And so much so intelligent that he could have done what they said he did and get away with it. But I don't know. Either way, man, I don't think being exonerated and being cleared of what people are saying really matters. You know, I understand in the streets when you still have association or affiliation with people, you want a good name in the streets. But it doesn't really matter. They're not going to embrace you still into the club. You're not going to get back in. They're not going to hug you and say, hey, our bad. Once you're gone in most cases, right? So we'll see what happens with little Dave. But I wanted to put this video out because 4 years later, man, I wanted to give you guys a rundown. And you can look for my video, man. It's way deep in the archives about 4 years ago. But anyways, little Dave has been exonerated. Now, as far as exonerated by the club, I highly doubt that. There was a lot of things that came out in the case, you know, and a lot of people that feel the way they feel. He's basically slandered and disrespected a lot of the brothers that he was around, saying that they were trying to muscle him up out of his position. It was all power play. So I'm sure they're not happy about that. But at the end of the day, man, you know, he is exonerated. You know, that doesn't mean the officers didn't lie. But that doesn't mean little Dave didn't tell the truth. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive for what I truly believe in. And that's the betterment of all people, man. Again, if you're interested in the Mongols, you're interested in the life of Doc Cavazos, little Dave, which is a very interesting topic, man. Tap in. I got several videos. Tap in. This video is sponsored by Barrio Liquors out there in Turlock, California. If you're ever in the Turlock area, pull up to the Barrio and get you some icy and cold to drink. Also, by Sticks and Stones Yard Service out there in Tucson, Arizona. If you need a quote and an estimate, make sure you tap in with Sticks and Stones Yard Service and they'll hook you up. It's our duty to support our small local raza businesses. Let's get it. Bang, bang.